Playing the first Xenoblade Chronicles game on my Let's Play channel was an interesting experience, particularly since I played some of its sequel before I started with the moving on to, or I should say moving back to the first game. It ended up giving me some new context on how the series has progressed and how the sequel improved on its predecessor and some ways in which the predecessor was better. Now that, if you've been watching along on my main channel, I've beaten the game in my Let's Play. It's time to give my thoughts. I'm not going to be talking about the DLC portion here. It sounds like the DLC gets into some spoilers just for 2 and 3, so I'm going to hold off a little bit on that one. Xenoblade Chronicles is, without a doubt, one of the most ambitious RPGs that came out for the Wii, and in ways that carry over to the versions that were ported to the 3DS, and for that matter, the Switch. It's a game that not only gives the player a wide, expansive world to explore, but one that is deliberately designed to provide within that context wide open vistas to view, and which also seeks to maintain a sense of continuity between what would be considered overworld environments and in-world dungeons, making them, in some cases, functionally indistinguishable from each other. So, Xenoblade Chronicles is set on a deliberately unnamed world because the actual name of the planet is a big end-of-game reveal, where all life is on 2 continent-sized beings, Bionis, which is predominantly organic life, and Mechonis, which is predominantly cybernetic life. These two came into conflict at some point in the planet past, which is, again, explained at the big end of game reveal, but is left in the dark for much of the main story of the game. And our main characters for this are generally from Bionis. Our point of view character, Shulk, is from a village which is attacked by Mechon, the people from Mechonis, and his childhood friend Fiora is taken and seemingly killed. Shulk helps fend them off with the aid of a magic blade called the Minato that he gets a hold of and it manages to weld. With his newfound power, and joined by some of his friends from his hometown and additional allies he picks up along the way, he goes on a quest to find Fiora and seek out the nature of these worlds. And also, because this is a JRPG from the creators of Xenogears and Xenosaga, odds are high that God will be attacked and dethroned. Perhaps on an interesting note, compared to those other 2 works, you control no piloted mechs in this game during combat. In addition, combat is real-time rather than turn-based. In particular, your characters have a regular auto attack along with special abilities that can be triggered, which then have cooldowns before you can use them again, and which have additional effects based on your opponent's active status effects, how they're facing, and where you're positioned. On the one hand, this can make combat more strategic and a little more dynamic than your standard turn-based fare. On the other hand, you only control the party leader once combat has begun and can't give out orders or get into real granular combat algorithm programming stuff, like with Final Fantasy XII. Consequently, your strategy is effectively determined by what skills you equip on what characters in your party, as those abilities will determine what the computer will have them do while not under your control. While the Switch version of this game has naturally received graphical updates from the Wii and the 3DS versions, there are a lot of ways that the game shows some of its age in terms of the game engine. Large monsters on the game's overworld areas will frequently just pop in on the screen, literally appearing out of thin air, and forcing you to reconsider your path in a way that you wouldn't if you'd been able to see them at the reasonable distance where you would have seen them had the game engine not been running into graphical limitations for the draw distance. It's a situation where I found myself repeatedly wishing that they'd kind of just fallen back to the old N64 standby of dropping fog into the environments, or that they hadn't been quite so ambitious in their world maps so that I didn't break the illusion in this way of having the characters pop out of nowhere. The story is generally told pretty well, with the voice acting being done in the UK and a cast that leans towards local accents, like certain characters having a Welsh accent, certain characters having a North Country accent, that sort of thing. And it gives the game a different feel than various titles from the US and Canadian game studios, to the point where, honestly, I wish we'd get more UK JRPG dubs in general, or if we were getting more UK anime dubs, that they eschewed the convention of sliding into genericized pseudo-American mid-Atlantic accent and kept British accents and gone that route. The side quests aren't integrated into the story as well, though. They often fall into the realm of kill X monsters, or collect X items, and bring them back to the NPC, theoretically to build rapport within an area of the world map to in turn allow the purchase of additional items that will be useful later in a minigame involving rebuilding a settlement destroyed by the Mechon. Except, that whole batch of mechanics comes out of nowhere and can potentially, and quite easily, be missed. I feel like we've got a light version of it earlier in the game. After your hometown is attacked, I feel like it would have helped tutorialize the concept for later. In addition, when it comes to accumulating various items to build upgrades for the settlement, we don't really have any way to highlight needed items. There's no quest marker or map marker you can trigger to say, hey, where can I find the items for this upgrade? And it would have been nice to have that, and it thus got me in a situation where items that I could have purchased to prepare for the upgrade could have been highlighted and made available, or shopkeepers who sold those items, or NPCs, would have been highlighted and made available earlier in the game. It would have led me to engage with those systems and engage with the settlement reconstruction mechanics more. Instead, I only ended up dabbling in them for a little bit. On a brighter note, what Xenoblade Chronicles does recognize is that people who play JRPGs want to see their characters look cool, so they make playing dress up with your characters easier. As you acquire equipment throughout the game, you unlock the clothing style for those items when you set your character's cosmetic style. Then, even if you sell that piece of equipment, that style remains unlocked. It is frankly awesome, and I think something many MMOs could learn from. Looking at you, Final Fantasy XIV. Additionally, equipment can have gem slots that let you equip gems that influence your build, whether it's letting you tank more damage, resist certain status effects, or make you more likely to deal a particular status effect, get more healing, or just generally dish out more punishment. The game also gives you options to combine and upgrade materials to get better gem abilities, which can compensate for some of the weaknesses of particular weapons and armor, or put more focus on a particular build concept. Additionally, having such a tightly focused group of characters means everyone gets well developed. By comparison, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is so focused on giving you generic blades to send on missions or the occasional rare drop husbando or waifu to join your party that a lot of characters are given short shrift. While I appreciate the variety of characters and character designs in that game, the focus in this title, serves the game far better. Now, I admit I'm not going straight back into Xenoblade Chronicles 2 after beating the first game. I have other games I need to play first. Drop a link to my doobly-doo for the my New Year's resolutions for gaming for 2025. But I do look forward to revisiting it with the knowledge and experience that I've picked up from the first title. Now, if you do want to pick up Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition digitally from the Humble Store or Amazon.com, there'll be links in the show notes for them where you can pick those up. Buying anything at all through those links helps support the show. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe. And also consider backing my Patreon. Patreon backers get episodes up to 1 week early of this show and any future Let's Plays. Also, please consider backing my Ko-fi. Toss me a few bucks also helps support the show, and it's not a monthly obligation or anything like that.